What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Catch Cup, and the team we're going to be taking a look at today is Mandibuzz, ALOLAN, Ninetales, and Shadow Scizor. Now, I did not have many Pokemon that I had caught and built up this season, so I just kind of randomly threw together a team on stream. I streamed these battles live, so that's why the quality might be a little bit lower than normal. But you're going to see an absolutely insane run to over 3,200 ELO and rank 175, I believe, on the leaderboard, which is easily the highest that I have ever reached. And it's really exciting to hit leaderboard back-to-back seasons. Before we hop into these battles, I want to say a special thank you to the expert trainer members on this channel: Benny Hemlock, Dr. Green Mustache, Soham Patil, CD Slaskus, and Eliana, as well as the legend trainer members on this channel: Big Burden, Andrew Pitten, Musachu, Noodleman, Speedster, Esteros, Liminal Lagomorph, Tom Spencer, Fast Idiot Boss, and Jamie Finn. So without further ado, let's hop into some battles. Okay, into the first match, we've got Mandibuzz into Gastrodon. Now, this is a fantastic lead, and the opponent is going to safe switch into a Moltres, so in comes the ALOLAN Ninetales. Now, one thing you might notice about this team is that it's triple strong into Shadow Giratina and double strong into Toedscruel, and there's a reason for that. I was specifically targeting those two Pokemon, and Regidrago, I guess, as well, because I had a feeling that a lot of my opponents were going to be running those three, just because everyone kind of got that this season, built them up. So I was kind of targeting, it's just predicting the meta, having an answer for it. But you'll notice that I end up over farming in that mid-game matchup, playing to a CMB tie that I don't win. So I'm forced to commit the shield, but I just go for an undercharge. That way I can just fully farm them down, come out loaded with energy. I chip the Gastrodon with loads of that energy. In comes the Scizor, anticipating the switch, and now I can outpace to the charge move. Well, I should have been able to, but it looks like I got 2-turn switch. Unfortunately, that is just the state of the game we play, which means now the opponent is actually able to connect with a breaking swipe to lower my attack before I'm able to get off my first charge move. But Night Slash still grabs a shield, and here comes Night Slash number 2. And unfortunately for my opponent, there's just nowhere they can go, because this Mandibuzz will just end up sweeping this endgame. They will be able to pick up the knockout with the breaking swipe here, even though it is resisted, but that's fine because in comes the Mandibuzz, and we are running the Air Slash Mandibuzz just for those fighter matchups. In comes the Gastrodon. They actually make a catch of the foul play onto the Gastrodon, which is really nice, but I can just Air Slash, farm down the Regidrago. I can live any one charge move. Even a Dragon Energy from this range is only going to do about 50%, and that's exactly what it does. Air Slash picks up the knockout, and we are able to take a Game 1 win. Into the next match, there it is. There's the Toedscruel. So fantastic lead. The opponent safe switches into a Centiskorch. They're core broken by Air Slash Mandibuzz. They resign the match, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, tough opponent. We've got Zweilis, and he is running a Forretress on the lead, and a purified Forretress at that. I'm going to go for the foul play, but I guess I'm going to over farm and let him get a Rock Tomb off before I throw my energy. He does kind of throw an alignment, not anticipating me to go for that extra fast move. That said, here comes a foul play. That does some okay chip. I will be able to outpace to the second foul play before he's able to make it to a second Rock Tomb. And now we just have to hope that he can't get the Bug Bite farm down before I'm able to get to a third foul play. He doesn't think he can get there, so in comes the Regidrago, and now in comes the Ninetales. Ninetales double resisting everything here, so we'll just let this go. Breaking Swipe does very little damage to the Ninetales. I'm going to overfarm like crazy here. Now going for the Weather Ball. This is on the CMP tie. This is only enough for another Breaking Swipe, which is why I threw it when I did. I was expecting him to go for the Dragon Energy, but he ends up just settling for the Breaking Swipe. I now go for the Undercharge. Same kind of deal. Get the extra farm down. Come out loaded with energy for the Fortress, and now a Dazzling Gleam from this range is actually enough to pick up the knockout on the Fortress. And what's in the back? It is a Gyarados, and this is a Dragon Breath Gyarados, and unfortunately this Dragon Breath Gyarados is one season too early, because I'm able to outpace to the back-to-back charge moves, and as soon as I grab that final shield, this game is over, because in comes the Scizor, and Scizor, all we have to do is make it to 1 charge move here before he can make it to 3. He knows he can't make it to 3, so he resigns the match, and we are able to take that win. Into next match, we've got Mandibuzz into Pidgeot, so battles of the flyers here. And we're just going to stay in this matchup because Scizor has an okay matchup here. Obviously, Ninetales has a great matchup here because we have super effective damage. but this is a neutral matchup, so we'll just stay in here. The opponent ends up overfarming quite a bit and enough for the Brave Bird, so I think I'm actually going to commit the shield here, and it is the Brave Bird, so that is a huge shield. What's in the back? It is a Darkspawn. Darkspawn will be met with the Shadow Scissor. Shadow Scissor will outpace, make it to the Trailblaze on the CMP tie, and Trailblaze from this range, is it enough to pick up the knockout? It is, and now we are boosted. So what wants to come in here? It's a Toad Scroll in the back that is absolutely massive, able to make it to another Trailblaze or another Night Slash. I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe I didn't think I would get there, but Night Slash does end up grabbing the shield, and now all I have to do is just come in with my Mandibuzz, force them to throw their energy. They end up throwing energy here. At worst, this is a wrap. They end up going for a resisted Seed Bomb. Back in comes the Pidgeot. Pidgeot now will be met with an Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace from this range, actually going to grab a shield from my opponent. And they're not going to overfarm at all. They're just going to pick up the knockout with the Air Cutter, but that is fine because this looks like a Ninetales sweep. Everything left is weak to ice, and this Toad Scroll is double weak to ice. So I can overfarm, doesn't really matter. This game is already over. Weather Ball, it's double super effective. From the red health range, it is definitely picking up the knockout on the Toad Scroll, and we are able to take that win. Into next match, we've got Mandibuzz into Steelix. So this is a core breaker on the lead, but we are forced to kind of just stay in this matchup. And unfortunately, we're not on Snarl, which means our fast move is resisted. However, my opponent might be on either Psychic Fangs and Crunch or Psychic Fangs and Earthquake. And I think they confirmed that right away when they go for a Psychic Fangs against my Mandibuzz. So that is good because that means they're likely walled charge move wise against the Mandibuzz, which means this matchup, it could actually be a lot closer than you might think because these foul plays come pretty quick despite us running the Air slash Mandibuzz moveset. But Psychic Fangs being double resisted means yes, these Thunder Fangs are adding up, but they're just not enough to KO. Even another Psychic Fangs from this range will not be enough to pick up the knockout. So my opponent is forced to go for the Crunch, which does expose that they were on Crunch this whole time. In comes the Ninetales. Ninetales able to outpace, make it to the Weather Ball, but my opponent must have been weak to Ninetales in the back because they resigned the match, and we are able to take that win. Into next match, pretty good lead. We've got Mandibuzz into the Golisopod. Obviously, these air slashes are super effective. The opponent safe switches into a Diggersby after a ton of lag. In comes the Ninetales. Of course, Ninetales will be hit with a super effective Weather Ball here. Weather Ball, Fire Punch here. And sorry, I'm thinking of next season, all the Weather Ball users, but I can survive a Fire Punch, but no problem. But my opponent can also survive a Weather Ball from my own pretty comfortably as well, which is pretty unfortunate because that means I'm forced to commit the shield on their Fire Punch. Now I can go for the Weather Ball, and I just have to hope that my opponent commits the shield because I can commit the double shield and farm down, but my opponent lets that go. In comes the Golisopod. Golisopod now to be met with the Dazzling Gleam. This will do some very solid chip. It's stab, it's a hard-hitting move. It connects, it puts them into the red health range after one more Powder Snow, and now I'm also able to make it to a Weather Ball and grab a shield back or the knockout from my opponent, and my opponent ends up committing the shield, going for the farm down. Back in comes the Mandibuzz. In the back, it's a Clodsire, and this game is over. Poison Stings are double resisted here, which means I know when they only farm up to a Stonehenge here that I can survive this pretty comfortably, and now I can connect with a Trailblaze. These bullet punches are already adding up without the boost, but now they're going to be adding up even more, and because their fast move is double resisted, they just cannot get the farm down. I'm now able to make it to a Night Slash as well, and Night Slash is going to grab the final shield. They tried to commit to the farm down, it was their only win con, but I get the farm down instead, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got Mandibuzz into Toad Scroll, another fantastic matchup. The opponent is going to safe switch into Regidrago. We've seen this before. In comes the Ninetales. The opponent immediately resigns the match, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got our first bad lead. We're going to safe switch into our Ninetales, and the opponent is staying in. So this is pretty interesting because clearly they're weak to the Ninetales in the back, or they have another answer to Mandibuzz in the back. So just going to stick in this matchup. They will be able to connect with a Psychic Fangs, but I can live this very comfortably. But the charms afterwards, however, I will not be able to live. And if my opponent commits the shield here, they can look for a full farm down, and that's exactly what they're going to do. In comes the charm farm down, but now I can just wait the switch clock, align my Scizor where I want it, and this game should be in a pretty good situation, especially because it's a Como-O in the back, and now Como-O is aligned against the Mana Buzz. Of course, this does bait my Mana Buzz back out, so I have to be wary here. I need to come out with a little bit of energy, but I can only overfarm so much because Clanging Scales does a lot of damage. So now going to look to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace. We do get the knockout. I'm assuming the Darkspawn will come back in. Is it going to be the Darkspawn? No, it's going to be their third, which is a Quaquaval. But Quaquaval is going to get outpaced, and obviously these Air Slashes and Aerial Aces are super effective. They end up letting that go, trying to 2-shield with their red health Darkspawn, but that is just never going to happen when we have a Shadow Scizor. I do get denied my fast move when I come in here, but it's just a Psychic Fangs. I can let that go. Look for the Bullet Punch farm down with a 2-shield remaining, and the opponent will resign the match. Into the next match, another Forretress on the lead, but this one is a Shadow. But I've learned from my mistake in the past matchup with Zweilous, and yes, I did beat him, but I made a huge error in letting him get to the Rock Tomb first. So first, I'm going to connect with the Foul Play. That's going to put the opponent into the yellow health range. And yes, this is a Shadow Rock Tomb, so this will do more damage than the non-Shadow, and it does put us in the yellow health range, but we will still be able to outpace. The opponent can look for a 1-shield farm down here, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not the end of the world. They actually let that go, and we pivot at the exact same time. They come in with a Dragon Breath Giratina when I come in with my Ninetales. Ninetales will be able to connect with a Weather Ball. That does some pretty solid chip, and this is likely a Ancient Power from my opponent because they are on the Dragon Breath moveset, but I can live that. I let that go. If they can live it, I can live it, so that's kind of the philosophy I had there. In comes a Malamar. Malamar to be met with a Dazzling Gleam. This is super effective damage. They end up committing the shield, and now in comes the Scizor, and as soon as they see the 2-shield Scizor, they resign the match, and we are able to take the win. Another tough opponent in the next match, we've got Mana Buzz into Low Kicks. This is a fantastic lead. The opponent is going to safe switch into a Turtonator, and suddenly this went from a great matchup to a bad one because I have 2 Pokemon in the back that have absolutely no play into fire types, so I'm forced to kind of just stay in this matchup. However, I know I can survive 1 charge move, so I will let the Flash Cannon go, and now I can look to overarm slightly, pick up the knockout with the Foul Play before they're able to get to a second charge move. And Foul Play from this range, not quite enough to pick up the knockout, but 2 more Air Slashes do. Are they going to come back in with their Low Kicks? No, they're going to come in with a Salazzle, and oh boy, this just gets worse and worse. Salazzle is a terrible Pokemon to see in the back here. They are going to commit the shield as well, so in comes the Ninetales. I'm forced to pivot here because I am so weak to this in the back. I cannot concede a full farm down. They are going to go for the Poison Fang. That's super effective. I'm going to bait like I have the Psyshock, hoping that my opponent at least commits the shield back, and they do commit the shield back, but at this point they're at back. I think they have enough energy for that Poison Sting, or for that Poison Fang. But I am able to connect with the Weather Ball on the Low Kicks that comes back in. And now in comes the Shadow Scizor. Scizor did get 1 turn lag there, which is pretty unfortunate, but I am just going to look for the full farm down. And I know a Poison Fang, it's double resisted, is not enough to pick up the knockout here, so I'm just going to throw my Night Slash right away, and Night Slash from this range picks up the knockout on the Salazzle, and we are able to take that final win. I think my opponent ended up throwing the extra Incinerate, anticipating me to switch into my Mana Buzz as well, so good thing I did not. But yeah, crazy win streak there, able to make it with a 5-0 up to 32-38. Just absolutely incredible. Highest ELO of the season and of any season ever for me, and rank like 175 on the leaderboard. It's a huge achievement. Obviously, I don't actually really recommend this team. It's a pretty imbalanced team, and we saw its weaknesses in these battles. But I think the importance of this video is more of the fact that in a catch cup like this, you know what the popular Pokemon are going to be coming into it. You know Toadscroll just got released, and it's a bulky Pokemon, and everyone probably built it because they saw Home Slice Henry run with it. You know that Shadow Giratina is going to be absolutely everywhere because that Pokemon just got released. It's the Shadow Pokemon of that most recent Rocket event, and it's a good one at that, so everyone's going to be running that, and you just kind of build to that. You've got Mana Buzz, Ninetales, Scizor. Those Pokemon have play into both of those Pokemon, Regidrago, so that's just kind of how I team build. Just core breaking the meta can often get you wins, and even at higher ELO, people don't expect it. But yeah, that's going to be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time. Peace.